Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, a narcoleptic comedian, and this is the podcast where I interview people in my bed and we talk about sleep, comedy, and relationships. This week, I slept with Madison Shepard. We had such a great conversation. We talked about napping, sugar and cocaine, experimental theater, manifesting, and much, much more. Madison is an actress, comedian, and podcaster. She co-hosts the podcast Wow Rude Podcast with Danielle Perez. She is also a recurring guest on Freeform's upcoming show, Single Drunk Female. Her debut album, Goodnight Silver Lake Lounge, is available on her website, madisonshepard.com. You can also follow Madison on Twitter at Madison Shepard. That's MADISONSHEPARD. And on Instagram, it's Madison_Shepard. So be sure to follow her on all the things, buy her album, check out her podcast, watch her new show, which just got picked up. Congratulate her for getting on a show and it getting picked up, which we talk about in the podcast. This week is also National Sleep Awareness Week. As you know, I'm a very big advocate for narcolepsy awareness and sleep disorder awareness, so please just educate yourself. If you think you might have an issue, talk to a doctor, get a sleep test, and take a nap. Enjoy resting if you need a rest. One more plug before we get started. Sleeping with Sarah is brought to you by audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah to get a free audiobook of your choice. This week, I'd like to recommend Tiffany Haddish's The Last Black Unicorn. And congrats to her for winning the Grammy for Best Comedy Album. Seriously, well deserved. If you like the podcast, please rate and review on iTunes, iHeartMedia, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're also on Spotify. Those reviews mean a lot, guys. And if you want to find out more about me, you can go to my website, sleepysarah.com, or follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Well, let's get started with the show.
Sleeping with Sarah.
Hi. How'd you sleep last night, Madison?
Oh, I had weird sleep last night. So I work at a COVID testing site during the day. And so last night I fell asleep about 8:30 and then I woke up at 2. And my whole body was just completely sore.
Ooh.
Like head to toe. So I woke up at 2 and then I just did an hour of yin yoga, went back to sleep for like an hour and a half, and then went to work. So very strange.
So you in the middle at 2 a.m, you did yoga.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Do you do yoga often?
Just when I'm in a lot of pain.
Oh, gotcha. Because you were, man.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's, are you feeling better physically? Is it?
Somewhat. I mean, I work at a pretty full-on site, so it's a lot of standing on like concrete and asphalt, and so that just is like taxing when you do 12 hours or something, which I've been doing doubles. So I'm just tired. I'm okay though.
Inserts help if that makes you, like I didn't figure out about insoles until I had to have foot surgery. So it was a lesson learned. I will never not have insoles again. But
I love it. I stand an insole. I am about that insole life, honey. But there is a time, if you're not wearing a good shoe, it's like, forget it.
Mm-mm. Like I look back, like I haven't worn heels like this whole year because I haven't had anywhere to go, and it's been really nice. I'm like, oh man, like I don't know if I want to wear those 4-inch heels again. Like it's painful.
Yeah, I think I wore heels one time in the pandemic, and I was like, ooh, okay, don't break an ankle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I could get dressed up, but I only like to get like dressed up from the waist up, basically. But
usually put some makeup on.
Yeah. Like I put like a little bit of makeup on, today. I was like, okay, just a little bit for this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did it just for you. Yeah. So
thank you. You look great.
I make an effort. I brushed my hair.
Awesome. I love it. I'm here in a silk bonnet. So you're doing better than me.
That is but it's pajama themed. It's fine. That's comfy. I've had many people on the podcast before wearing that, so that works. It's comfy. So you do work at a COVID testing site. That must be tough. I know that that's super important though. So thank you.
Yeah, well, it's vaccines and testing, so that's pretty good. There's hope in the vaccine. It makes me feel like, oh, yes, we're closer to the end than we are to the beginning.
I'm relieved. My dad, he's over 70. He's older. My mom's a lot younger. It's weird. But he did get his first shot, so that makes me feel good. But he's in Florida.
Mazel, that's awesome.
But it'll be a while for everybody else, I think. But, hopefully things will start to get better and we can have comedy live again and all that. So
yeah, probably in another year or more.
Yeah, I know. It'll
not
be a while.
soon.
I know. I'm prepping myself mentally. That's why we do things like podcasts. You have a podcast too with Danielle Perez, right?
I do. It's called Wow Rude. We were going to start it before the pandemic, and then we were like, oh shit, we have nothing else to do. I guess we'll do this podcast we've been talking about doing. So,
well, it's a good reason to do it. I was listening to the episode where you guys were outside the McDonald's. Were you guys really in cars?
Oh yeah. Yes.
That's pretty
literally
cool.
Just a parking space between us with the mics. We have 15-foot mic cords, so we just sort of sat in our cars and chilled, which is something we would do anyway, outside of pandemic. So
that's nice. Would you be in the separate cars during the pandemic?
No. I mean, if it weren't for the pandemic, we'd probably be sitting next to each other in a McDonald's parking lot after a show right now. That would be the total. We're very much oh yeah, we went to a show and now it's okay, you want to get McDonald's, and we just sit in a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah. I feel like if I ever get crazy stoned, that's where I end up going to the parking lots after the shows and all that, and just I want all the food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'm thinking about food now because I'm on a diet, so it's this whole thing.
Oh no, you're on a diet?
It's no, I just the COVID-19, I definitely did that, and so I'm trying to in the holidays, so trying to get back into hiking and being active and all that stuff. So
sure,
not a big deal. I'm not upset about it. It's just I want sugar.
Yeah, but sugar's so I'm actually reading a book about how crazy bad it is for you. But it's it's not great for your nervous system, for example.
I mean, isn't it 5 times more addictive than cocaine? Isn't that something like that?
It's up there.
Insane.
It lights up all the same parts of your brain as heroin, cocaine.
All the drugs. And we do this, drugs, and we started giving this to the people as children,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they used to give cocaine and heroin to kids. So yeah, this tracks.
They used to give heroin to children?
Because it was in medicine.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It was over the counter medicine for many years.
Our history is so fucked up in so many ways. I did not realize that we did that.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any other weird sleep stuff? You said you have weird dreams and stuff sometimes. Any other strange sleep things?
Oh, yeah. I have. So first of all, I mean, I don't drink anymore, but when I did drink, I was a big fan of sleeping in my car. And so I would sleep in my car during the in between things that I was going to. So between work and a show, or on my lunch break, or before I went into work. Sometimes I would just wake up in my car somewhere, which was a fun thing to do, and part of the reason I don't drink anymore. But I mean, I have so much but I was such a huge proponent of supporter of napping. Love a nap.
Oh.
Here for the nap lifestyle.
Nap all day. I mean, I'm the same way. I have narcolepsy, so that's part of the theme of this. But I would do that too. I'd fall asleep in my car, and then sometimes I'd be driving back from a show. I'd never fall asleep while I'm driving, but the second I'd park in Chicago, I'd fall asleep, and then I'd get a knock an hour later from a cop on the window, just being wake up, and it would shock me awake. I'd be I'd be oh my God, what's going on? It's my car. I'm sleeping in it. I'm not homeless. Just let me.
Yeah. Or drunk. I'm just
yeah.
Just sleep in my car.
I like napping. Napping, I think I don't know why we don't do siestas like Spain does. Like, we deserve a break, you know?
Yeah. I took a nap today on my lunch break, just a little 15-minuter, closed my eyes, just kind of got a little bit of rest and felt completely reset for the rest of my day. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think everyone should nap. Like, I had other reasons, but I used to like have to convince, like when I worked in an office, I'd be like I'd only take like 20 minutes to eat. And then I'd spend the rest of the 40 minutes like in an empty office napping. It's just the weirdest thing. But I don't think there's anything wrong with napping. We work too hard in, America. Like we shouldn't be working 50, 60 hours a week and not like napping.
Right. Sleep is so restorative, and it's so important to like reset your whole body so that you can be refreshed and renewed for the next day or the next phase of your day or whatever, I don't know if you've had any doctors on here, but they have pretty insane like sleep schedules, like residents and stuff like that, where they'll like be up for 24 hours and then get like 20 minutes, an hour and a half, like in an empty room and then back on the clock.
Yeah, I think that's super crazy and unhealthy. Same with the truck drivers too that drive for 14-hour days and things like that. I think that's like insane.
Sure.
But, and you released an album too, right? Recently?
I did. Right before shutdown, fall of 2019 and the before, I released an EP of just like, I had like a late night set fall through, and I was sort of feeling adrift in comedy a little bit. And like, I just wanted something a little substantial to be like, I'm here. I exist as a comic. Hello, take me serious. And so I recorded an album, and before shutdown, I was able to headline a few venues off of that. And then the pandemic stole my life.
God, I know. That sucks. But yes. I mean, it's good that you got the album out and you had something like to, beforehand, because a lot of people...
I have proof.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I did that with a full audience. You can hear it,
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool though. But yeah, it's always a weird thing. And like, that's the thing people don't know about late night is that some people can get it and it can get canceled or you can get bumped, and like that happens, and that's very normal. And I think general people that aren't comics don't know that. Same with TV shows. You can get cast in a pilot, and then when the show gets picked up, your role could be replaced, or your character written out, and so many different things can happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. I mean, there's so many. In order to get on TV, I don't think that people understand just how special it is. Like, there's so many things at play. So many things have to go right for you. It's a fucking miracle if anybody gets on television. It's like, oh wow, that's impressive.
It's a miracle that TV shows get made, because the process just to get a TV show or movie made is insane. How many steps, how many people you have to have approve whatnot, and budgets and everything. It is such a process.
Hundreds of people need to say yes in terms of like all of these little decisions on a show in order for it to even like be made into a pilot. And then at that point, the studio can turn around and say, well, actually, we don't like it, or we have something else, or that's too similar to something someone else is doing. And we're going in a different direction because we have a new president of our studio, and he wants to only do, I don't know, reality or something. And he doesn't want scripted. So your show is canned.
Oh, that's annoying. Have you been
Any number of things.
How long have you been out here in LA?
I have been in Los Angeles since high school. So I've been here 20 years this September.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you know you wanted to do comedy earlier on, or was that something you discovered later?
No, actually I did classical theater for many years. I went to LA County High School for the Arts, and then I went to the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama in London because I could just never just go to a school with a simple fucking name.
I did BADA in Oxford. I did like the summer BADA program.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So I'm familiar with your program too. I loved it. Yes. I loved England. I was like looking up rules. I was like, oh, like okay, I gotta be with someone for 3 years and I can be engaged and then I can, get citizenship. I was like looking up all that stuff. But then,
Yeah.
I went to Chicago and met a guy and stayed.
Yeah. Way leads on to way. I get it.
Yeah.
My life I thought would be very different. I thought I would be living in the UK doing classical theater, married to my Australian boyfriend from college, but that's not how my life shook out. So here we are.
Is.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Bad time. Horrible time. Actually, I didn't like England. I liked being in England. I liked working in England. I liked some aspects of the program I was in, but there was a lot of like other things at play that made it kind of a negative experience for me overall. So, unfortunately, it's okay that my life turned out how it did, but it was heartbreaking at the time that it didn't work out.
Oh, did you ever go to did you ever go up north to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival?
I did not,
No.
but I was supposed to go a couple summers ago because I co-directed Jessica Michelle Singleton's one-woman show, and that was at Edinburgh about 2 years ago. So,
that was awesome.
But I couldn't get the time off work and make it happen. So,
that's yeah, but that's pretty cool that you directed something that went to Fringe. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You direct too, obviously.
Sometimes, apparently. I mean, it was the first thing I ever really directed, but I used to run a theater company, and
a theater company here in LA.
So. I did.
That's awesome. What were some of your favorite stuff you put on?
I used to run a theater company with my friend Theo Motzenbecker, called the Others Theater Company, LA. And we did, one of my favorite plays that we ever did was part of the Sons of Simile company creation festival. That was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. 7, long time. And it was an adaptation of Juna Barnes' Nightwood, which is like this story about queer folks on the left bank of Paris in the 1920s, and it features the first appearance of a trans person in history, in literature. So in the history of literature, I should say. So that was probably one of my favorite plays that we ever put on. So really awesome. Arty, real specific, real queer. That was the kind of shit I did before I started comedy.
But that's very cool. I like that stuff. I mean, I went to theater school as well, so I totally get that. Mm-hmm. And you're doing I was in a play that involved, that was it was a puppet adaptation of a Neil Gaiman, graphic novel, stuff like that. You would do weird, artsy shit like that, but it's fun and it means something and it's saying something. And that's what's cool about that.
I think that doing weird theater is important for actors and performers, because the show must go on. You really you learn a lot about yourself when there's 10 people on stage and 2 people in the audience,
yes.
And a dog. You really learn. You get your grit. Then you get dusty. You get. You get a little grime on you. It's okay, I've been someplace. I've seen the wars. I've been there, So I think it's important. Do the weird shit. Do all of the weird shit so that when the cool big shit comes along, you're prepared.
I think that's really... Yeah, I think that's really good advice because, I've definitely been there. I've definitely been there where it's I think 3 people in the audience, in a February in Chicago, in a 3-hour play that's an iambic pentameter about King Arthur. That's the thing, but you learn to commit, you learn to put all your energy in it, even if there's 3 people in the audience. And
sometimes those are the best shows though.
Yeah.
Those nights when there's no one there, it's it's almost like a closed dress rehearsal, and you're able to unlock a new part of the character that you weren't able to access before because the pressure's off in some ways. You're not pushing as hard. I don't know.
Yeah, you get to play a little bit, which is fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So you still act, I take it?
Yeah, I still act. I don't do classical theater anymore, but I probably will. Hopefully, there'll come a time in my life when that is an option for me to do and also get paid. Um, but yeah, I just shot a pilot in Chicago actually in December for Freeform, so we're just waiting to
Ah,
hear if that's going to get picked up or not.
that's
So
awesome. That's so
yeah, it's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, Chicago. That's where I came up in comedy, so that's where I started. But
It is
Chicago,
very weird to be there. It's dead right now. There's like nobody on the streets.
well, yeah, it's probably gonna feel so weird, and I'm kind of heartbroken because like places I used to run shows and like music venues and places I like loved are gone now, and so it's probably very
Yeah.
different. But did you film like in the winter, or was it warmer, or was it?
Oh no, it's terribly cold. It's fucking cold. It kept threatening to snow. It didn't. I was sort of bummed about that, but yeah, it was just cold. It was like first or second week of December. So
Oh gosh, yeah, it's pretty cold.
yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But that's awesome. Congrats. I hope that gets picked up.
Me too. But again, it may not. And I'll probably do something else that's self created off of the back of that not working out because that's how I process shit. I don't
But
know.
that's the thing. Like if one thing doesn't work out, another opportunity is there. Or like I think
Mhm.
about like things like, okay, for example, if like some shows like if like Freaks and Geeks wasn't canceled after its first season, where would those actors have gone? Would they have been as successful as they
Mhm.
were? Like it might have seemed like a failure, but maybe it wasn't. It was just a learning experience. I don't know.
Absolutely. And also, it's 100% a learning experience, but it also puts you in connection with so many other people who make decisions on other shows that like even if it seems like oh this isn't quite, working out or whatever, like it could lead to other things. So,
I really like what Freeform has been doing. Like, what is it? Everything is going to be okay. I thought that was pretty cool in terms of how inclusive it's being. I really like Grownish. I know someone who Will Miles writes on that. I
mhm.
think that they've been since they become Freeform instead of like ABC Family. They've
ABC
been taking
Family.
so many more risks. They've been so much more
Yeah.
inclusive. They've had so many better, I think, improved storytelling that's more realistic instead of, oh,
Yes.
family friendly. Like, we got to be careful. We can't talk about drugs.
Oh yeah, I mean our pilot is called Single Drunk Female, which is about a girl getting sober. So,
uh, that I feel like a lot of people can relate to that.
yeah.
um,
I don't think she does any drugs in the pilot, but she drinks a lot and heavily.
yeah. That Chicago is a good city to set that in because looking back, I feel like a lot of people in Chicago drink a lot. Like compared to
Yeah.
LA, I was like, maybe I was an alcoholic in Chicago. I'm not sure. But Chicago is one of those cities where, yeah, you just drink and then you go close down the 2 a.m. bar, you go to the 4 a.m. bar, and then then you go to the late night grilled cheese place and it's 5 in the morning and you had to work in 4 hours and you still show up somehow. It's one of these crazy places.
It sounds insane. It sounds like a young person's game.
Oh yeah, this was that was describing how I lived my life in my early 20s. Several years.
Yes.
There's a point where you grow up and you stop doing that, I hope.
Some people, or, you don't. And yeah, you live with your consequences either way,
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, that's why I
It
like
works or
being
it
in LA.
doesn't.
Like I'm definitely more of a weed vibe kind of gal.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do any drugs or alcohol, no mood altering substances except for coffee and sugar and melatonin.
That sounds
But
really healthy though. That's awesome.
yeah, it's helpful. It definitely has helped my mental health a lot to not be drunk or hungover a lot. It's also it changes your sleep a lot. That's a part about getting sober I don't think a lot of people know about, but you do sleep deeper, which means that you're getting more rest in your like you're able to enter the REM cycle more easily. And I mean also you don't wake up covered in sweat and oil and your mouth is like dry for some reason.
Or
Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, or covered in nachos.
Yes.
You know.
Or in somebody's body fluids that you didn't anticipate that happening.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of ways to wake up when you're.
Yep, all sorts of ways. Uh, but that's, I mean, that sounds like a really cool pilot. I think that's, are you allowed to say which part you were or which role?
Oh yeah, I play the lead girl's probation officer. So I'm not a series regular. If it were to get picked up, it would just be major recurring. But that's good. It's my first one, so I'm happy to get a point on the board. You know what I mean? Like,
get your SAG points. You know what I mean? Like,
shit, I have to join. I just need to put my little money together and actually do it. But yeah, I mean, just like a point on the board in the terms of like, you know, this industry, like the way that credits affect access, like the more credits you have, the more access to people, opportunities, free shit, jobs, parties, you know, pathways to make your own like products and TV shows and whatever. Credits matter. So it's like, yes, finally, like a major credit. Yes. Like the big one, the big first one. So
yeah, Freeform's good. Really big. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm happy.
Is that what you want to do? You want to create some of your own TV shows and products?
Yeah. I mean, I want to, the goal, the dream is to have a TV show that I write and star in. And it plays forever, and I create generational wealth for my family. But also that I get to do stand up. So some sort of show or opportunity where that could happen. So that's what I want. What about you? What do you want to?
Pretty similar to me too. I definitely have the shows I'd like to do, you know, and obviously, yes, I write, you know, I feel like a lot of people that are performers that also write for ourselves because that's what you do. And so, especially because it's your point of view. So, yeah, I'm kind of very similar boat there. Definitely want to create my own TV show. I see myself as somebody who I still love stand up and still want to do that, but I would see it as doing stand up, maybe coming up with an album like once every couple years, once I get to that point, not like an every year album kind of person, but
right. It's very strange when people are every year album peoples, because I'm like, who's helping you write that? Because that's not really how people generate material typically. It takes time. And if you're writing your own TV show or starring in a network show or whatever, when do you have the time to like actually tour and write that, perfect it?
That's a very good point. I never really thought about it that way because Chicago comes from kind of a pure place of comedy than I think LA. And we don't think about like people stealing other people's jokes, or like if there was like something that was like maybe even a close similar thought, people got called out and like said something right away and banned from mics and things like that. And that only happened like a couple times, I think, where there were issues with that. But it wasn't a thing where you thought, oh, I'm going to tell this and somebody could steal my joke, and whoever says it on TV first, that's whose joke it is. Like, you don't think about things like that. You don't think about people paying other people to buy jokes, because in the world we were in, Chicago, it was this weird bubble where most people didn't do that. And so it is weird to come to LA where people are like,
it's not just LA, it's New York too. I mean, I don't know if you watched Amy Schumer's new documentary series about her fertility struggles, I guess I would say, and then also her struggles being pregnant. She has a guy who like sits in the audience and they like punch up her set so that she can tape a special. Like literally they like go, like he gives her feedback and is like, okay, you should actually say this, or you really got to laugh out of this line, so like add that. And so, I mean, Kevin Hart has writers, and he talks about them on the podcast Good Ones. He talks about his writing process with his writers, where they'll sit in the back of the room when he's headlining somewhere and he just talks to the audience, and then they figure out, okay, this is the set. This is what we're going to talk about. So I think it's common.
I at least respect them for being honest about it and like showing it in the documentary and talking about it on a podcast instead of just pretending, oh, I do all this on my own. I think, and that's the thing about stand-up. I don't think anybody does it on their own. We have friends that'll give us punch-ups. We'll have, I went hiking with a friend the other day and I was like, oh, that's funny. Like write that down or remember that joke.
Oh yeah. That's my favorite thing. I'm like, tweet that, write it. That's a bit. I want to see that on stage. Yeah, we all do that.
Yeah, well, that's the fun part about it. It's like we're all like supporting each other, and like, what was it on Instagram? Somebody shared something that's like, I don't want to compete with you because I want you to win too. Like that's the vibe I try to be in, and the circle of people I try to have around me. It's like I want us all to win. I don't see anybody as competition. Just because you get something doesn't mean I think that it's taken away from me in some way. And that's the vibe I think is the healthiest vibe I think to be in, hopefully.
It takes time. And I think that like it takes time to get into that mindset. And I think it also, in order for a lot of people, I can speak, let me not speak for everyone, but for myself, I can say it took a lot of time for me to like get into that mindset about work, right? Like, I mean, I've always been somebody who tries to make exclusive space, like exclusive. Oh my God, I'm tired. This is usually when I start to get ready for bed. But I've always tried to be inclusive, you know what I mean? And supporting of other like women, people of color, queer folks, etc. But there was a light bulb moment last summer where I was having a really hard time because I was like dealing with jealousy, and that shit was really toxic and hard. And like, I'm out here busting my ass and going on all these auditions and submitting for all these writing jobs, and it's not happening. And I had to do a lot of like reflection and also research on other people's journeys to be like, oh, I'm okay. So what is for you will be for you. Mm-hmm. Period. So your friend's opportunity was never your opportunity in the first place, right? Yeah. And it's like, that's really like, for me at least, it was like, oh, I have to shift into that. And it completely changed my experience of the last few months, frankly. And I hope for the rest of my life. I mean, hopefully.
Really great. I'm glad you shared that. For me, it was somebody told me, I think earlier on when I started doing stand-up, like a couple years in, I was like, why can't I be there yet? And they're just like, never compare yourself to someone else. Just compare yourself to where you were like a year ago. I mean, maybe COVID isn't the best year to say that, but normally, you know what I'm saying? Cause it has been a year. So
yeah. Have you been doing Zoom shows? And
I've been doing some, when people ask me, and, sometimes if they pay, like, it's just, it's not quite the same for me, for sure. I definitely thrive off an audience and the energy of that. I miss that. I miss running my own shows. I miss a lot of that. So I have not been doing as much Zoom shows. I really wish that they had the thing happening where it's like more immediate. I wish that they would have it where it's like one person can be the focus on the screen and you can hear the laughter, but it doesn't change who's the focus. I wish, because a lot of people are nervous about, doing that. So they put it on mute and you don't get to hear. I just like hearing a response, because otherwise you're just saying it to nobody, which can work for sketch and for characters and for comedy music and for storytelling and for a variety of things, but not quite stand up.
Yeah. Stand up is definitely like, there's so much you just sort of make on the fly because you're in the middle of like, you're on your toes and your back is against the wall and they're laughing, but you're like, I could lose this at any second. Oh, here's something funny that I just thought of. And it keeps the laugh going. You're like, oh shit. Okay. That stays.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's always a fun moment when you're like, when you come up with a tag on the spot, or when
my God. Yes.
Yeah. I miss that, I miss the energy of a crowd, when they're ready to laugh, like when you first go on stage and you feel great because you're like, oh, this crowd is ready to be entertained. And that just feels amazing.
A hot crowd that has never seen me before is my favorite. Like, you guys aren't sick of my jokes? Great. You're going to think I'm so brilliant. And these aren't. Like,
Yeah, you're like, hey, I've been working on this set for, 8 years or however long it is. And,
yes.
I think that's awesome too. Yeah. To have a full room and nobody's ever heard you before.
And they're there to laugh and they're like, yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. Did you do a lot of crowd work when you were doing more live shows?
I mean, in LA, it's kind of hard to do crowd work. I would do like a little, like I would sort of like really, but not really. I didn't really start doing crowd work until I started headlining because then you have time and
yeah.
But I like it. I love it because I can just I'm very comfortable bullshitting and like you know what I mean, like saying exactly what I think about somebody. On this, it's a little roasty sometimes, but yeah, I like it. What about you? Do you do crowd work?
I didn't do that much at first. I think for me, because like I wasn't at headlining. I'd only like headlined, I guess, like once or twice in the Midwest, but it was more like a 30-minute set, not like a full 45. So I haven't really I wouldn't say like I ever really like headlined, but
It still sounds like headlining to me. If you were a man, you'd say you'd headline. So
thank you for that. Yes. Okay, fine. But for me, I think, when I had longer sets, I played around a little bit. And I had some jokes where I intentionally had space to work in a little bit of crowd work. But I think off the bat, I like to start like with a joke off the bat and not start out with crowd work off the bat. That was just my vibe.
oh yeah, I need to convince them in the first because I'm not like funny looking. I'm not like doing like a weird, I'm like trying to get a laugh as soon as possible up top. I always start with the quickest, shortest, punchiest, funniest thing up top always.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's always the good way to go with that. And it is harder because there are some people that just look like they're going to be funny when they go on stage and the audience is just like, oh, this person's going to be funny. But then I don't know. It's just
when you're a woman, that plays into it. You know what I mean? Like people still don't think that women are funny sometimes. And, one thing that I always sort of think about, and obviously I'm not always able to get it, but Natasha Leggero said on a podcast one time, like, get a laugh before you even start, before you even say a word, see if you can get a laugh in there, like somehow. And I'm like, I don't know that I always do, but I will get it in that joke. That first joke is always going to be my tightest thing.
Yeah. I was always a fan of that too. Try to get it within the first like 10 seconds. And
where do you work new material in a set? Like, let's say you're doing like a 10 or 15. You do it in the middle. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I sandwich it. And depending on where the joke works in my set, I might sandwich it in between two solid jokes I know so I could easily recover. Or if it's like a new longer little story, I'll make sure it's in between two things, or I can work in a callback or something else to recover if I need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But always like start strong, end strong, because that's what they'll remember those, and then that's the thing. You notice my memory isn't that awesome. So when I see sets and things like that, sometimes it's hard, and it's really interesting to me which jokes will stand out and I'll remember. And a lot of times the audience just wants to remember how good they felt and how much they laughed and how much they were, enjoying.
How you made them feel.
And I realized that I have been hard on myself when I didn't need to, and other women specifically have also been harder on themselves when there might be a mediocre male comic who like goes off stage like, yeah, I crushed it, and they just did okay, but the audience doesn't know it either way, like because they remember having a good time and laughing at the end.
Yeah. Whew. I mean, me and Danielle talk about this a lot. We don't really believe in talking. Danielle Perez, who I host Wow Rude with, we've been friends since 2004. So we've known each other a long time. But the language we try to use to describe a set is a little bit more clinical. Like, it was medium. My timing was good. I had a really good delivery on this line. Here's where the audience was, like, because you can get a more accurate portrayal of like how you did. So it's less black and white of like, I bombed, I crushed. It's like there's so much shit in the middle.
I really like that. It also reminds me, though, going back to theater, when I go to someone's like theater show and they'd be like, "What'd you think of it?" I'd be like, "Oh, well, the set was really amazing. I really like this part that you did," which I never lie. Like, that's my whole thing. I don't want to lie when I give someone's feedback, but, you know, especially theater kids, ego issues, fragile.
Mhm.
So I would always
Yeah.
find something positive to say, even if the show wasn't that good. But
I'll literally mark it in my mind when I'm watching someone. I'm like, this is what you're going to tell them that you liked.
Yeah.
In the text or the like convo you're going to have after the show. Like, this is the thing you're going to say. And that was really incredible. That moment when you, oh yes, you were just so, I was there with you. You were telling the story.
Yep.
It's true, but it's also bullshit, you know?
Yeah. Like, but that's the thing. I hate it when people aren't genuine when like you go off stage and they're like, awesome set, like I hate it when people just throw that out and it's like, did you listen? Like, it's like, when people are being disingenuine. Disingenuine? Is that right? Yeah.
Disingenuous.
Disingenuous. Sorry, it's late.
But at the same
Is it
time,
raining over there?
it sounds like it.
Yeah, I can hear the rain.
It sounds like it's raining a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like pouring.
Yeah.
LA does not rain often, so it's an event when it happens.
Yeah. Oh, what a great time. And this is perfect. When I go to sleep, I actually listen to rain noises. So as soon as we get off the call here, I'm going to like do my skincare routine and then I'm going to just listen to this and go to sleep. It's going to be great.
That's awesome. What part of LA do you live in?
I live on the west side, but I've lived all over the city for sure. I'm looking to move back to the east side soon. I lived in Echo Park and Silver Lake for many years, so I'm looking to move back to my old stomping ground. There's some good deals
happening right now because so many people left. So
I know. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah. Back to the set thing. I think that's a really healthy way of looking back at your set and having someone that's known you for so long that can really just give you legit, real feedback is so important and so awesome that you have that.
And there's, they tell you this as an actor, but there is a skill to taking a note or feedback. You need to be able to receive it. I mean, I've seen people unravel when someone's like, well, wasn't your best, but here's what worked. Unraveling because they got what they quote negative feedback versus like, it's okay to have that initial reaction, but maybe finding a way to go, okay, but where's the truth in that? Mm-hmm. Are they being honest? Are they being truthful? Is that, did I also feel that way? Were there moments where what they said was true? Let me think about it and let me fix it. That's, the way to improve. Yeah. The worst is when you tell somebody, like, especially, I see this with newer comics a lot who are like in their own story about whatever is going on with their set that night. They get off stage and you're like, hey, good set. And they're like, you don't mean it. I'm like, I don't really have time to like, have a therapy session with you, sweetie. But if someone just take the compliment. Yeah.
Exactly.
I laughed and I thought this was good. Like, just accept it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. Some people are just so insecure about it. They just don't know yet. And they haven't come into their voice. And I don't know. I mean, I felt a little bit more comfortable being on stage because I've been on stage my whole life and I've done sketch. So I knew I could be funny, but it's very different too when you're being funny as yourself versus as a character.
Yeah. Although I have a kind of an onstage persona a little bit. And especially like in the last year that was sort of starting to develop when I was headlining and then that ended. But, I have found in the quarantine of like developing that persona who is me, but she's like Madison Shepard, not my legal name, Madison Shepard, which is like a longer name. This is like the truncated version of myself. So it's just like, that is like Madison Shepard Inc. And she is like this. And this is how she feels about things. And it's like what's the word? Like
heightened version of yourself?
a dramatized version of myself.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are heightened because it's a heightened situation. You're in front of an audience. You've got a microphone. Everyone's listening to you. You've got the attention of the whole room. So I think that you dress differently than if you're just going to chat with your friend on the couch. So I think a lot of people do like a heightened version of themselves too. Also, depending on if the crowd, you want to like get the energy up. Like I'll probably be a little bit more energetic than I normally would be.
Yeah,
but,
totally.
That's all part of it. Something I think you did mention on the podcast that I am curious, you're doing a manifestation thing?
Oh, yes, honey. Yes, girl. That's my vibe.
Yeah. So, because I'm redoing, I'd started The Artist Way earlier in the pandemic. I didn't finish it. So I'm redoing The Artist Way, and I've listened to the audiobook of You're a Badass like 4 times this year. So yes. I am trying to like do more of the manifestation and all that kind of stuff. So I'm curious what you're doing and if that's working for you.
Oh my God, there's so much. Okay. So first of all, also got to read Jen Sincero's You're a Badass at Making Money.
Okay.
Especially as an artist who wants to do art and commerce together, honey, life-changing.
Okay.
I probably listened to that book like 4 or 5 times in a row. In fact, I bought the paper version with the intention that I'm going to like answer all the questions in a notebook. I haven't done it yet, but we're getting there. We're on a journey. So it just ended actually, but I did Gabrielle Bernstein. She's an author and her whole shit is about manifesting. Got to look her up. If manifesting is something that you're interested in, Gabby Bernstein's she's that bitch. She wrote several books that I'd highly recommend. Super Attractor, The Universe Has Your Back. She has another one, which I'm forgetting the name of, but those are my 2 favorite. She had a manifestation challenge at the beginning of this year that just ended that like was just a series of like exercises and meditations and things to practice on any given day to manifest kind of this bigger dream, hope, want, desire, goal. And so, I would not say that in the 21-day period that my like big thing came true. I want my show to be picked up and for me to have work on the show. But I mean, that hasn't happened yet, but I'm still living in the faith that it will. For me, it's just sort of opened up my eyes about, I want to make a show and I want to like star in it, and I also want to do stand up, and I'd like to be a wife and a mom and have a house here and a house in Big Sur and a place in Texas where I'm from, and that kind of shit. And it's like, okay, I don't have proof that shit is like gonna transpire, but I have the hope and the vision for my life. And so what that challenge and what I've been working on with manifesting in this last year has really been like, okay, so what do I want? And what are the steps that I can take today to work towards that? And if it's literally like, I don't know, bitch, feel good, feel expectant, or like, gee, like, yes, you have rent debt, for example, but wow, isn't it great that you now have a job where you can pay that rent debt and you can pay it with gratitude? It's that type of stuff that's just like kind of shifting my perspective, like changing my own internal story about the circumstances of my life. That's like really kind of opening me up. So that challenge is done, but I'm still like waking up. The goal is to wake up at 4 a.m. and write scripts. Right now, all I really have the mind and energy to do is to wake up, do a manifestation or some sort of like positive meditation, guided meditation, and then to journal or answer like a prompt about what I want for my future. And here's something even more embarrassing. My friend put me onto this because she's Missy Woo Woo. Okay. And I'm a little Missy Woo Woo low-key myself, but it's this app from the people who made The Secret, called The Secret of Money or The Secret to Money. And it's like they give you like every day like a little fake check, and it's like you get $10,000 today. You like every day you make a little bit more, and then you spend the check in your like bank account. I'm doing air quotes here. And it sounds insane. But then like you also keep track of like every time that like you did you manifest any money or free like services or whatever today. It's like, well, okay, I didn't manifest money today necessarily, but I did get to like cash in all of my Rite Aid points. So my Rite Aid purchase today was $10 less. That is $10 more in my pocket. So I did manifest that. Or like somebody bought me a coffee. That was a coffee I didn't have to pay for because someone else did it for me. So, you know, it's that type of thing.
No, that sounds interesting.
Anyways, this is very, I probably sound batshit to some
No, you
people,
don't. No, because I actually, so I've been, like I said, more to the manifesting, and actually had a conversation with one of my friends who has been on the, the theory that we're, you know, all in a simulation. And so she says that if that theory is right, manifesting just means you're just programming yourself to get the things you want. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, so it can work in multiple ways because, you know, if we are just a computer program, I just keep saying what I want. Eventually the robots will listen and I'll get it.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm a just in case, like I've slowly, since I've moved, I've been in LA, it'll be 3 years in May. So yes, I've slowly gotten more into outdoors and hiking and a little bit into crystals. And it's like kind of a just in case thing for me. I think physically I like holding on to something with the crystal, and I believe in energy, and whatever you give energy, you get energy back. I definitely believe in positive energy. I realize I'm an empath, and I like, I'm exhausted if I'm around someone that's just too negative. If someone just is a friend that just complains at me and I realize that I can't have the patience for that. And I don't need that negativity in my life because that's draining. But, so I have been a bit more aware of that. I don't have a vision board yet, but you know, that's something I know a lot of people are doing. And
I actually would argue, don't do a vision board. Because first of all, fuck scissors, glue, and cardboard. Like, fuck that shit. You have to go buy it, and then you only use it one time. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of your energy. Then you have to buy fucking magazines. Get the fuck out. Not when Google exists. Okay, bitch, we're just gonna, listen, make it digital. Take a screen cap of your desktop, go on Canva. Make a little one on Canva and Google the exact images and phrases and whatever you need for that. Put it on your background on your computer. Make a separate one for your phone. Listen, that's what I do. It's way better. I puts it every time I open my computer, I can see the things that I'm trying to bring in, or look at my phone. It's like,
what kind of stuff is on yours?
Money, a lot of money, Hollywood shit, you know, TV show shit. Also like peace, happiness, stability, like things that mean that. Images of my family, images of my friends, images of me doing stand-up.
That's great. Like
we're on set.
There are so many people that swear by the manifestation, and I'm trying to like start more of that. And I also am trying to like get up early to write. And some days I do and some days I don't. And the days that I don't, I forgive myself or I'm trying to, instead of being upset and mad at myself. So it's all a process of improving ourselves, I think.
Well, if you're looking for take this as a sign. If you're looking to go down that path further, Gabrielle Bernstein.
All right. I will look into that, and I'll check out Jen Sincero's other book because I love You're a Badass. I like listening to the audio version just because hearing You're a Badass over and over again, how many times she says it in the book, really like convinces yourself that you are, you know, and it helps.
The money stuff too, like, is so great. And especially because she talks about her experience as on the You're a Badass at Making Money. She talks about her experience as a coach and how basically she's like, I don't know how I'm going to make money from this thing that is sort of like a job that other people don't understand. And I kind of also don't understand it, but like, okay. I think it's really applicable to stand up, acting, and writing, which is like, at this stage in the game, I actually don't know how you feel about this, but like for me, I'm like, I don't all the way see how I like make a year's salary at this point, especially not in COVID. But like, could I gear myself up and like change my mindset so that maybe I could possibly attract money and career opportunities to bring me the money that I want?
Yeah. No,
I'm explaining that. I don't know.
Like, no, I totally get that. And you shouldn't be like, oh, I sound, you don't sound crazy. I think that makes sense. And I think my whole thing is like, what does it hurt to put that energy out there, to put that positivity out there, to sit in that? Isn't that better than sitting in this like jaded vibe that so many people in LA live in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I would rather live in this hopeful vibe that's like, hey, yes, things are coming to me. Good things are. Because I feel like if we work at this long enough and hard enough, like, and we do really put in the work, I think they will come.
Yeah. But also, what if it comes just because it's your opportunity and you don't have to work that hard, that you already have everything that you need in order to do that job?
Well, then you've spent 10 years working towards it, and that's paying off finally. Like, I see that as, yeah, some people might see that as, oh, that just happened and just lucky, but I don't think it's that. It's like preparation, preparation and opportunity. And
yeah, I think they say it's like
luck.
Luck is like opportunity meets perspiration or something.
Yeah.
Or time, perspiration, opportunity, something. There's like a Venn diagram of that.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't quote it exactly. But
listen, it's late for me.
but something along those lines, like I think that combo like works. And who knows, like maybe you had the same opportunity a year ago or 2 years ago, or it might not have worked for you because you were a different person then. So
you also weren't in the place for it, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Like right now, it's like I'm really focusing on all the things that I want. I'm like single. I'm like, okay, I don't have to worry about anybody else but me. I don't have to be, give my time to anybody but my friends that I feel like, And so I'm gonna be selfish and work on my shit. Versus if I had somebody that I had to worry about in that way, I'd be like splitting my time. Mm-hmm. And so like some people could look at it as like, oh yeah, Sarah, you've been single throughout the whole pandemic. Are you lonely? Yes, I am. But at the same time, I know that this loneliness will benefit me because I'm working harder than I would.
Yeah. Also because you're not having, I love stand-up and I love being at shows and being around other comics and being, part of our community. But I wrote 2 pilots last year because I wasn't out doing stand-up every night.
Yeah.
I booked a pilot last year because I wasn't out doing stand-up every night. So,
Yeah. Well, congrats on that. Writing 2 pilots is a big, Yeah. I wrote, I think a pilot and a spec and cleaned up one, but I'm working on a new one.
That's sick.
And that's scary, but fun,
It's the best part. Once you get that first draft done, it's all good. It's all good. You're working towards it.
Yeah. The once you get, it's easier to edit. That's my whole thing. It's like once you finish the draft, it's easier to edit it. Just finish the first draft, and then we'll get there. Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. Well, I know it's getting late, and we'll start winding down the podcast. So I know we already talked about this a little bit earlier. I always ask people at the end of the podcast what your dreams and hopes are for the future, in a way of manifesting as well. So I think you mentioned a little bit about that, but if there's anything more specific or what you want to share?
There's so many things that I'd like to see come to pass this year, but I think I'd like just more financial abundance in my life in a way that I can use as a tool, because that's all money is, right? Like it's a tool to get things and to help other people. So if I could have the financial stability to pay my debts and take care of my mom, take care of my family, and be able to do the artistic work I want to do so that I can also be of service to other people through my art, that would be great. That's really what I'm like hoping to bring into my life.
I think that's very awesome. That's a very awesome goal. Well, thank you for doing the podcast, but we always end by saying good night. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Madison Shepard. Be sure to follow Madison on all the socials, at Madison Shepard on Twitter and Madison_Shepard on Instagram. Check out her podcast, Wow Rude Podcast, her show, Single Drunk Female, and her album, Goodnight Silver Lake Lounge. If you like the podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe. I'll be releasing a new podcast each week, so tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. A big thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. If you want to find out more about me, go to sleepysarah.com or follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Sarah Allbritton. Until next time, good night.